Timothy Omotoso has been released by the court. He has been acquitted by this thing. Now, the state might still appeal or whatnot. I'm not sure exactly if that's the next set of direction or whatever it may be. But I wanted to talk about, I think about 3 to 4 things pertaining what this case right now, where it is, and the first things that came to my mind when I saw his release. So for those that do not remember, Pastor Timothy Omotoso used to have a church, very big. It had celebrities and what. It has been a while since 2017, and so we want to do a little bit of track back so that we can remember why was he in jail for so long, and the reason why people look for bail during a case. And it's shown in his thingy. There was a lot of claims during his case, and also we're gonna just go back again. People might actually forget there was actually a documentary that was made by Special Assignments on these cases, that of these victims and so forth, of people that were speaking out. There is also people that claim, it's not me, there are people that claim the SABC has a record of who those people were and are, who claim that their lives were ruined, families separated because of this, the way that this man ran his church and stuff like that, or what he termed as a church. And so before we go any further, I want us to just recap on some of those things so that people can understand the seriousness of the charges and what we are dealing with. Now, before we get to all of those things, let's start right here.
So far, Special Assignment has been approached by almost 30 young women, some of them from this community, who give an account of their alleged sexual assault by Pastor Omotoso. The pastor allegedly used recruiters to lure young women who would be taken to Durban, isolated from their families, and seduced under the pretext of spiritual mentoring.
When he got arrested, it's roughly around the time when I was coming back to apologetics, Christian apologetics solely. Because back then I used to do both social commentary and Christian apologetics alongside. He's been in there for about 7 to 8 years. Being arrested 2017, there was an issue of being a flight risk, because I think they arrested him at the airport. And so when they arrested him at the airport, they were like, hey man, they might dip it. And so because he might dip it, a flight risk. Now, for a lot of people, they might not remember this, but this is the footage of that arrest.
On Friday, Omotoso was nabbed by the Hawks at the Port Elizabeth Airport. The Durban-based pastor faces charges of human trafficking and...
So that was Thingy, when they actually got him at Thingy. And there was also a clip, particularly when they were getting him out of the airport. Particular angle I did not see by that time. I think I only saw it like a while after this whole thing had actually started, when they were inside right here. Brings up a second point here. This is why normally when people get arrested, this is why they look to get bail, because you might be in there for God knows how long. He never got bail, so he's been in there for that long. Now, personally, I've never seen Timothy Omotoso as a true prophet or as a true pastor. He has very weird, dodgy teaching. But when he got arrested, there were a lot of testimonies that came out.
I'm actually trying to find the CRL chairperson right now. We're going to move him on so that we can speak to the CRL chairperson.
Well, all we can say is the NPA let us down. The NPA let these witnesses down. There are hundreds.
Now, pause here. She said there are hundreds. if not what? Number of people that were waiting for this case to thingy, that had testimonies that the NPA could have vetted and gotten some of the most, and she even extends it.
If not thousands of victims out there who were waiting to see how this case goes. If it was a matter of not cross-examining the accused appropriately, as the judge says, then we're leaving it at the door of the NPA. The NPA should have lined up their very best. The Hawks did their job. The witnesses did what they told their truth, and then the NPA dropped the ball on the very last hours.
The Hawks had done their due diligence. Now, when the Hawks did their due diligence, the NPA was now just supposed to do their own, and then just, the Hawks didn't play with their investigations. You know what they did with the Bushiri one. And whatever they submitted over there, similarly, almost got them on them back here. And so, I can only have questions. I'm only left with questions. What happened? There were parents that couldn't have access to their kids, which is where the trafficking claim came from. It came from this idea that there were parents that didn't have access to their kids because of it. Okay? And so just in case you don't remember.
This case is of international importance, not only national importance, but the problem is that when you prosecute half-heartedly, you never win any case. You've got to be in it full time.
I remember there was even a video that was filmed at the sea or somewhere there where a girl was talking about being inside there.
Out of that environment into a different environment where you can start, because you got used to, and this is the one thing, is what is abnormal had now become normal in your life. And so to get back to basic and start believing and trusting people and getting the real thing on your social behavioral changes, a lifestyle change now has to take place because there was so much hurt and damage done at that time.
So there were a lot of testimonies that came out, there were videos, there were interviews that were done and whatnot. It turned into a whole thing, and until where we are right here, right now. And so, him being acquitted, what they said, the thing that they mentioned, the thing that's mentioned by the judge here is that it's not that the things that are said are not true. That's the thing that they said. Is that it's that the things that are mentioned, the state did not prove without a reasonable doubt. And so is that there are areas that sound doubtful pertaining what is thingy. So because there is that room for doubt, acquittal comes in right there. Now, that's the second, that's another thing. I keep saying second. That's the fourth thing that comes up in there, is that the state did not prove without reasonable doubt that he is innocent. Number 5, what this thing reminds you of. Remember when Bushiri left the country, he said South Africa's courts are xenophobic. Now, this case right here, or what just happened right here, shows you the contrary. It shows you the courts here in South Africa, they function by themselves, okay? It not be like that. And so, I mean, like, a lot of people might disagree, but either ways, you can see here that the courts function as they do. Remember, there was a person who was being claimed to be the wife. She was going to different groups and trying to appeal to say, hey, human rights and all that entire jazz. So I'm saying all these things so that when he comes out, maybe we'll be doing podcasts. Maybe he'll come out and then we'll be doing interviews or something like that. And so around that same time, around the time when he got arrested, there was this whole thing where they were trying to say, hey, you know what, he's been ill-treated and whatnot and all those kind of things. He's been kept, there's no case, but he's been kept. No, there were things that he had to answer to by that time, and he was denied bail. And so being denied bail meant that you just don't go out. So it wasn't a thing, it is just how that particular situation worked out in that manner. Because these things, we mention them now because people have the tendency of forgetting what happened or what caused him to be held for that long. Is that he was deemed a flight risk. One of the reasons being was arrested at the airport. Now we don't know where he was going with him being at the airport, with being where he got arrested. So yeah, tell me your thoughts down in the comment section. I thought to kind of mention this part of this type of things because sometimes information gets lost. 7 years is a very long time for people to forget what has happened. I mean, like since Timothy went into prison, we've had a resurrection. We have had Awujiri escaping. We've had COVID. People got jobs and they even got fired. It's been a very, very long time since the time he was arrested. And so we'll see what happens. Does this mean that he's released? I'm not sure. Does this mean that he when they appeal, or if they appeal, he will then be taken back into prison? I don't know those particular details. I haven't looked that particular part up. So that would be the next thing to know. Does this mean he is released? Does it mean that it can be appealed? And if they appeal it, where does it go? Does it go to the same court? Does it go to a higher court? Where does it go if they decide to appeal it? And does it mean that now, since they have the court has deemed him, they've given him an acquittal, does that mean that he can be released on bail after 7 years? I don't know. So those details we don't know yet. I'll definitely give you an update when we do know those particular aspects of details, and then I'll come back here and tell you all about it. It's the Rick Show. We do daily Christian commentary videos, and I'll see you on them other episodes down in the pinned comments. Y'all have a wonderful afternoon.